I want to quickly talk to you about emergency personal lines of credit from credit union, and we want to focus on folks who have a fair credit. So that's kind of important. So not bad credit, but fair credit. So we are going to speak about emergency personal lines of credit. So the very first credit union you want to actually contact if you're looking for an emergency personal line of credit is Conexus. Conexus is really great. I mean, they are actually a very affordable in terms of APR. We love them a lot, and they're very, very flexible too. So when we talk about emergencies, actually Conexus can approve you within 24 hours. Okay, but you got to be a member of this credit union for at least 3 months before you can qualify for this emergency personal line of credit. And we are speaking about flexible amounts that go from $5,000 all the way to $25,000. So again, this is for emergencies, and that they will actually approve you within 24 hours. So $5,000 to $25,000. What we love about Conexus is that they're really fast, and their application process is very streamlined. You have the opportunity to actually apply over the phone, or you can go to a branch if you are lucky enough to live in a geography where Conexus is. That's really fine. So they just want you to have 4 things to sort of approve you real fast. So they want to have the desired line of credit amount, and they want to have your personal information, so your name, address, date of birth, and your social. So this is a hard pull. This is not a soft pull. So when we talk about a emergency personal line of credit, we are speaking about a hard pull at Conexus. And so that's the second thing. They want you to have your contact information, so your phone, your email, particularly your mobile, your cell phone. And the last thing they are asking you is they want to ask about your financial information. So we are speaking about your monthly income and your rent, so or your mortgage. So either you have a rent, or either you paying rent or mortgage. So those are the 4 things. And the cool thing is, if you actually want to get an emergency personal line of credit, you are able to get it within 24 hours. But again, make sure that you are actually a member for at least 3 months before you apply. Otherwise, you will be denied. Boss, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate you. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. The second credit union that you want to reach out to if you're looking for an emergency personal line of credit for fair credit is Service. Service is really cool. Now Service wants you to have an affiliation with the military, or either professionally, geographically, or family-wise. But if you meet that requirement, you are able to actually qualify for an emergency personal line of credit as long as you have been a member for 1 month. 1 month, that's actually the minimum for Service to actually qualify you. So when we talk about an emergency personal line of credit, you can get up to $50,000. $50,000. That's really good. That's really good. And we're talking about all kinds of emergencies. It can be for health reasons. It could be for a budget reason. Let's say something happened and you just need an emergency. You just need emergency cash. So that's really good. So the maximum here is $50,000. What we love about Service is that they're really fast, and they actually operate like a family. They consider their members like a family member, so they will actually listen to you. They'll see how to help you out. In some cases, they might actually say, listen, instead of having a line of credit, we'll just give you a loan. So that's really the kind of flexibility that we love with Service. So that's really good. So for emergency personal line of credit, you could be approved within 16 hours. 16 hours, that's actually the standard at Service. And you can borrow up to $50,000. You have flexible terms. There is no application fee for this line of credit. So that's really cool in terms of helping the members actually get back on track. And Service just wants you to really be with them for at least 1 month. And by the way, you can still qualify for Service if you're not affiliated with the military. You are able to actually to actually become a member by going through other conduits. For instance, you can actually donate to a charity that Service that is actually sponsoring, or that sponsored Service. And so that's really cool. So that's really good. So we are looking at the APRs that go from 8.49% all the way to 17.49%. So in terms of flexibility, it doesn't get better than that. Boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about emergency personal lines of credit for fair credit from credit unions. The third credit union I want to talk about is Credit Human. And Credit Human is really cool. We love the opportunity that Credit Human is very flexible. You can borrow as little as $500. And if you are looking for an emergency personal line of credit for fair credit, Credit Human is a fantastic credit union. They want you to be a member for 3 months before you actually apply for this line of credit, and that's really good. And we are speaking about a soft pull. So for Conexus, it's a hard pull right away. For service, it's a hard pull. For Credit Human, it's a soft pull. So you can be pre-approved for a line of credit. That's really good. And so you are looking at low monthly payments. You have the ability to access your credit by debit card, online banking, phone, or by writing a check. So that's really cool. What we love about the Credit Human is that besides an emergency personal line of credit, they also have all kinds of credit products that are actually suitable for a variety of members. Okay, so we are speaking, for instance, about signature loan. They have a Q, what they call a Q money loan. And when we talk about signature loan, we are talking about your ability to borrow you can borrow for $500 all the way to $75,000, and you have terms up to 72 months. So basically, what you're trying to really have, if you are trying to have an emergency personal line of credit, and for some reason you're not approved, you can actually you can try to apply for a personal loan, and you could be approved for that because the terms and conditions are totally different. Okay, so that's really good. And we are looking at APRs, whether you go for an emergency personal line of credit or a regular personal line of credit. You are looking at APR that ranges from 11% all the way to 17.99%. So the flexibility is there. We love that a lot. And just want to close on Credit Human, we love the fact that their customer service is really fast too. So that's fantastic. Now I want to talk to you about NASA Fed. So when you talk about NASA Fed, we were speaking about NASA Federal Credit Union. You don't have to have an affiliation, a professional affiliation with NASA, the organization. But the cool thing is that if you can qualify, they want you to be a member for 2 months at least. So before actually applying for an emergency personal line of credit for fair credit, and the maximum you could get with NASA Fed is $30,000. Okay, so you are looking at APRs that go from 10% all the way to 16%. Okay, but you have the ability to actually qualify for $30,000. The minimum we have seen in terms of emergency personal line of credit for fair credit is actually $1,000. So you have a chance to get to get a $1,000 minimum. And we love the fact that those things are, their personal line of credit is actually unsecured. In other words, no collateral required. This is really cool. And you have the ability to also actually get your cash either through wire transfers, or you can get through, they will issue a series of checks, or they will give you also a debit card. So once they approve your emergency personal line of credit, you have all kinds of possibilities to access your cash. So that's really cool in terms of flexibility, especially if you have some kind of emergent, like a very, very urgent emergency. I know that's tautology, but really you need cash real fast. NASA Fed will actually work with you on that end. So that's really good. And to apply actually for an emergency personal line of credit for fair credit at NASA Fed, you are able to either visit a branch location, or you can call 1-888-NASA FCU. So 1-888-627-2328. So we are looking at the 1-888-627-2328. So that's really cool. And what we love about NASA Fed is that they actually will see the initial approval for an emergency personal line of credit for fair credit is actually capped at $30,000, but there is a possibility to actually increase that amount if you have been a good member to $50,000. So that's really cool in terms of allowing you to have more cash. Boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about emergency personal lines of credit for fair credit from credit union. From a credit union. I want to talk to you now about another credit union that we love a lot in terms of emergency personal lines of credit for fair credit. We are speaking about Genesis. And Genesis is really cool because even though Genesis is not as a geographically broad, so you might have a geo restriction here because they're not available nationally. But if you are in a states where Genesis is actually present, this is a really good credit union to consider for emergency personal lines of credit for fair credit. And Genesis wants you to be with them for 3 months before you apply for an emergency personal line of credit. So this is really cool in terms of getting the opportunity to get your cash real fast. You can be approved within 12 hours. Like if you apply at 8 o'clock, at 8 a.m. Eastern, you have the ability to be to actually be approved by 8 p.m. I mean before end of close, end of the close. The close of the business day. So that's really cool. So we are looking at all kinds of opportunities. So it's one of those things where for an emergency personal line of credit through Genesis, you are looking at a minimum APR of 10.99% and a maximum APR of 18%. So 10.99 to 18%. But the ability is there. You have you can get all the way to $50,000 as an emergency personal line of credit for fair credit. And Genesis is really cool because they don't ask a lot of questions, okay? I mean, they will ask you the basics like your financials. They'll ask you your social. I mean, this is a hard pull. This is not a soft pull. This is a hard pull. They do a hard pull right away. But the cool thing is they're not asking a lot of questions like in-depth. No, they'll ask you about your income. They'll ask you about your expenses, including your mortgage or rent. And they'll just see how much you can qualify for. And the cool thing is that if this is an emergency, like a true emergency, like a medical emergency, basically Genesis can actually approve you even faster. So their average is 10 to 12 hours after you applied, as long as you meet all the requirements. But there are cases where they might actually process your application a lot faster. So that's really cool in terms of giving you the funds you need a lot faster. This is just fantastic. I want to talk to you about Andrews. Andrews is another great credit union to be to consider for an emergency personal line of credit for fair credit. And we love the fact that Andrews is really flexible also towards its members. And Andrews want to be a member for at least 2 months before you apply for a personal line of credit, whether it is an emergency line of credit or a regular line of credit. So that's really cool. And we are looking at the maximum loan amount of $50,000. Now, the cool thing is that when it comes to Andrews, they have different types of lines of credit. So they have what they call the premier line of credit, and then they have the overdraft line of credit. So when we talk about the premier line of credit, you have the ability to borrow from $500 all the way to $50,000. And so you have a convenient access to money online, by check, or in person at any branch. And for the overdraft line of credit, you are able to get credit lines up to $10,000. And we are speaking about a line of credit that's actually linked to your checking account, just in case you overspend. So this is what we love a lot in terms of Andrews, because you have the ability to sort of control your budget a lot better if you were to go with this credit union. And what we love about Andrews also is that they give their members all kinds of all kinds of I think flexibilities, if you will, in terms of accessing the cash, and you are able to access the cash real fast. So they will approve you within 12 hours. With Andrews, you are getting approval within 12 hours. Now, if for any reason you do not actually get approved for an emergency personal line of credit for fair credit, you can apply for a loan, a regular loan, or you can apply. And when we talk about regular loan, we are speaking about personal, what they call personal signature loan, where you can borrow up to $50,000. You can have a cash to go loan, which is kind of similar to a payday loan. So here you can borrow from $250 to $500, or you can apply for a share secured loan. And there, because it is collateralized, you are able to go all the way to $500,000, because everything depends upon the value of the underlying assets. So this is really cool. But long story short, Andrews is really flexible. They'll get your cash a lot faster if you have been a member with them for at least 3 months. Now, about the last credit union that we love a lot in terms of emergency personal lines of credit for fair credit, we are speaking about Connecta. So when you think about Connecta, I want you to think about an institution that has been around for a while. They are very generous when it comes to their emergency personal lines of credit. They can actually approve you from $1,000 all the way to $100,000. Actually, it's the most generous credit union when it comes to emergency personal lines of credit for fair credit. So we are looking at the delta that goes from $1,000 all the way to $100,000. And this is really cool. And you have you must be with them for at least 2 months before you can qualify for an emergency personal line of credit. And we are talking about your ability to get your cash a lot faster. You have APRs that go from 11.99% all the way to 18.99%. So that's really good. And you actually you can use the cash for projects with variable costs. You can finance educational expenses, medical expenses, family emergencies, or what have you. Okay. And you can actually you can use the cash to cover expenses during interruptions in typical cash flow. And we have seen folks who actually use an emergency personal line of credit for fair credit from Connecta to actually address some emergency cash problems in their business. So you get a personal line of credit to address an emergency business cash flow problem. I mean, that's not the best thing to do, but hey, listen. If you have the right relationship, if you have the right credit score, you basically can have that, and that's not a problem. So, and Connecta understand that. Connecta is not really a sort of gung ho and telling you can't use the cash for this. No. You have a very flexible credit union. You have an easy application process for your emergency personal line of credit for fair credit. So you can actually get approved within minutes. Actually, that's a cool thing, and you have the ability also to have a variety of repayment options, including automatic payments for your emergency personal line of credit. So this is really cool. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I spoke to you about emergency personal lines of credit for fair credit from credit unions. So let's quickly do a recap here. So the first one is Conexus. The second one is Service. Third one, Credit Human. Fourth, NASA Fed. Fifth, Genesis. Sixth, Andrews. And seventh, Connecta. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.